Assalamu alaikum. Muhammad's Sunday Lectures, brought to you by the Nation of Islam, Muhammad's Temple Unite. This Sunday's lecture will be brought to you by Brother Minister Haq Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. In the most holy name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful, who appeared among us, the black man and woman of America, who are in America, in the person of Master Wallace D. Farad Muhammad, in the name of his divine servant and messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet you, my listeners, my viewers, my audience, in the greeting words of peace and paradise in the Arabic language. Once again, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum only means peace be unto you. Brothers and sisters, you are viewing and listening to Muhammad's Sunday Lectures, brought to you by Muhammad's Temple of Islam United. We are members of the Nation of Islam, and we thank you for taking your time out, whatever coast you are on, whether it's the East Coast, the West Coast, the North, or the South, to view us, to listen to us. We ask you to tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your family members that Muhammad's Sunday Lectures are on the air. We plan to bring you a very interesting, thought-provoking, educational lecture this afternoon, or whatever time you're viewing this, to give you the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as it has been given to us. Before we start our lecture, brothers and sisters, we always open up with a prayer, asking Allah to bless us, to guide our words, our minds, our hearts. So join me in the Muslim opening prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Surely I have turned myself to Thee, O Allah, trying to be upright to He who has originated the heavens and the earth, and am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. No associate has He, and this I am commanded. I am of those who submit. O Allah, Thou the King, and there is no God but Thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am Thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults but Thee. And guide me into the best of morals, for none guides to the best of morals but Thou. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away the evil and indecent morals but Thou. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and the followers of Muhammad successful, here in the wilderness of North America, as Thou did make Abraham and the followers of Abraham successful. For surely Thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, bless Muhammad and the followers of Muhammad here in the wilderness of North America, as Thou did bless Abraham and the followers of Abraham. For surely Thou art praised and magnified. Ameen. Brothers and sisters, once again, We thank you for joining us to listen as we present to you the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the messenger of Allah. This is part 2 of the Muslim program, what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe. Today we will exclusively deal with what the Muslims want. We will deal with what the Muslims believe at another date and time. But we want to concentrate, we want to focus on what the Muslims want. And the reason why I chose this subject, because we are in what is now known as a national election. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in his important book, Fall of America, dealt with the national elections. However, although it was many, many years ago, but it has some significance today because we have 2 opposing candidates, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. But as black people in America, how do their candidacy, how does the national elections relate to us and affect us? We want to deal with that. But the reason why we chose the Muslim program on what the Muslims want, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad declared many, many years ago, he said, put the Muslim program to Congress. Put the Muslim program to Congress. But before we deal with that, brothers and sisters, I'll always take a few minutes to talk about how to eat to live. The Holy Quran, which we believe is the revelation from God that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us not just to read, but to study. Not just to read, but to study. And when you study, you go into the depth and try to get the understanding of the Holy Quran. He said, in the Holy Quran, it said, this is a transitory life. We're in transit, which means we're on a journey from the time that we are born until the time that we die. And all of us are going to die, brothers and sisters. You're not going to be here forever. But you can live a healthy life, an abundant life, if you follow what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given us in his great instructional book, How to Eat to Live. I have a copy right here. All of you should have this book. Some of you go to the gym. You go to different companies and you get different products, Slim Fast and healthy eating, and you read all kind of books on herbs, and it's not a bad thing. But in this book are some basic things that we need to understand about our health and how we can live long, not just a long life, but a healthy life. When the white man brought us to America over 400 years ago, we were in the holds of ships. We would travel on those ships sometime 6 to 8 months. And in those ships, we suffered all kinds of ailments and disease. Many of us died. But the strong of us survived, and they let us off in what we know today as America. But during that period, the white man fed us the worst foods. Hog maws, chitlins, pig feet, pig knuckles, pigtails. We ate it from the snout to his feet. We ate everything of the pig. They even fed us his testicles, its genitals, And right today, I live in a place called Coney Island. You can go to a place called Nathan's Restaurant, and you can order what is called mountain oysters. Nothing but the pig's testicles and the pig's genitals. It's penis. That's true. Yes. We want to live healthy. We want to live a long life and a healthy life. See, life is like a vapor, which means that you are here and then you're gone. See, a vapor is a mist that exists and then it's gone. And all of you can relate and say to yourself, man, I remember it seemed like it was yesterday that I was doing this, I was doing that, I was going to school, I was going swimming, I was enjoying the summers, and you said, man, time seems like it just slipped right away. Yes, it is like that. But God has given the Honorable Elijah Muhammad a dietary plan to let us live long and healthy. Jesus said, for those of us that are Christians and those of us that believe in Jesus, he said, come follow me, or I come to give you life and give it to you in abundance of life. Meaning that your life will be so full with health and vibrant that you won't suffer. Right today, we only live to about 80 years old, which is not a long time, but it could be a happy time for us. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the original black man and women at one time lived 150, 200 years, 300 years old, which was nothing to the original black man, because we lived in the nature that we were created, and we ate the best of foods. We thought the best of things, which sustained our life, that we were able to live that long. On page 23 of this book, How to Eat to Live, the title is chapter 7 on page 23 of How to Eat to Live. The title is Abundance of Life. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes, there are a lot of readers of this book who have many different thoughts and conceptions about this book. He said the main root of this book is to stop you from eating 2 and 3 times a day, which will prolong your life. He said the main root of this book is to stop us from eating 2, 3, 4 times a day, all day long, all night. He said if you continue to do that, you will have a short life. But if you follow his dietary plan for us, we can live a longer and healthy life. He said, now, he, Allah, has come and he is teaching me to teach you how to live. How to live is to go after that which is essential for us, to put our bodies as foods which gives life and maintains life in the body. He goes on to say, he, Master Farad Muhammad, to whom all praise is due forever, taught me how to teach you the best way to extend our lives, and that which is through the right kinds of foods and drinks. He said, this does not mean we have to eat every herb of the earth, every cattle on the earth, every bird that flies, every domestic fowl. or every piece of fruit that a fruit tree or vine is bearing. He said it doesn't mean that we have to eat all of those things, but we have to eat the right things. One of the main things he taught is to get off pork. In my lecture, brothers and sisters, if you don't believe anything that we have to say in this lecture, at least believe that you have you would practice eating the best way and the right way so you can prolong your life. If you say, well, I don't believe anything you're saying in terms of what Elijah Muhammad is saying, but brothers and sisters, you can bear witness that this man has given us a dietary plan to make us live better, because we are dying today. You have to bear witness that black people today are dying at the alarming rate of 50 years old, 40 years old. We're having heart attacks. We're having kidney failure. It is because of what we eat, or what we should be eating and don't eat. So eat plenty of fruit, eat plenty of vegetables, eat garlic, eat onions. Just don't go to the supermarket and buy anything. Check the ingredients. Look at what it's made from. And I guarantee you, see, one thing we can guarantee you is that you follow these dictates in How to Eat to Live, that you will feel better, you will look better, and you will live a long and healthy, abundant life. Now, of course, we got past that. I know some of y'all don't like that, because I'm talking to the Muslims too. We are deviating, many of us, from the way the messenger taught us. We are. I'm looking at some of the brothers. You are overweight. Some of you are breathing hard. You can't walk. Let's stop that. Let's at least try to live as close to what he has taught us in terms of how to eat to live as possible. Okay? Now, what do Muslims want? Now you see I'm wearing a red, black, and green bow tie. It looks beautiful. It looks nice. Red, black, and green represents the liberation flag of Africa. The Honorable Marcus Garvey used to fly this flag during his movement. The red represents the blood of our people who were brought here in America, and the blood that we shed, and the blood that runs through our body to make us a beautiful and intelligent people. The black represents the blackness of our skin, that we were born from and created from triple darkness of space. Don't be ashamed of your blackness. Don't be ashamed that you are of the darker hue. That darker hue represents the original man and the original woman. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we were created out of the triple darkness of space, and we took on the color of that which we were created from. So this is what the blackness represents in the bow tie. And the green represents the land, the greenery of Africa. And some of you think that Africa is, the brothers and sisters in Africa lives in huts and lives in trees or something like that. No! Africa is one of the most vibrant, the most productive land in the earth that we live on. They said that the land of Africa, the dirt that covers Africa, is so productive that you can spit on the ground and stuff would grow. So the red, the black, and the green represents the land, the green, The black represents the blackness of our skin, and the red represents the blood that runs through our bodies. Now, I'm not teaching black nationalism in that sense, but the flag that was given to us was the sun, moon, and stars. That the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, God in person told him that this is our flag, the flag that represents the universe. All right? The red, black, and green is just the symbols of something. But we don't want to get into that, brothers and sisters. That's another subject. What do Muslims want? Basically, we want freedom, justice, and equality. That's what the Muslims want. And all of you are Muslims. You just don't know you are Muslim. And I mentioned that in my lecture about a week ago, my part 1. We are all Muslims. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said God came to him in Detroit and presented himself to him in 1931. He said all black people are Muslims. He said they just don't know they're Muslims. Okay? A Muslim is one who submits to do the will of Allah. We were all created by God, and in that creation, he said that we were in the nature in which he created us. Now, as I said earlier, this is a national election, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, put the Muslim program to Congress. In this national election, whoever's the president, number one, we have to look out and remember black people have to be represented. What are they going to do for us? What are you going to ask them to do? Do you have an agenda? Do you have a program? Don't wait for them to tell you what to do. And let me say this here, because a lot of our people, many of our people, are always saying what the white man has done for us, what the president has done for us, what the congressman has done for us, what the assembly person has done for us. We have been here 400 years, and we have fought in every war. We never attempted to cause any kind of revolution in America. We have done all of this as black people, and we always say what they have done for us. Remember, brothers and sisters, they have not done anything for us that we have not fought for. They didn't come to knock on your door and say, black people or black man and woman in America, what do you want? No, we had to fight. We had to petition. And during the Civil Rights Movement, Martin Luther King in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and movement had to march and had to petition, had to have sit-ins in order to get them just to recognize them as citizens in this country. So the white man has not given us anything. We fought for everything that we got or everything that we have today, but it's not enough for the liberation and the freedom and justice and equality for black people in America. Let's bear with me, brothers and sisters. Be patient. We always say patience is a virtue. Well, exercise your virtue and listen to what we have to say. You know, the greatest movement that ever happened in America is the Nation of Islam. The greatest movement that happened to black people in America is the Nation of Islam. Well, why do you say that? We got all other organizations. Yes, they have contributed. They have made great leaps and bounds in terms of getting justice for us. But the Nation of Islam comes with a full package. When you go to the store, when you go to the supermarket, you search the aisles and you pick out all the things that you feel that's necessary for your family and yourself to eat and sustain your life. And you are willing to pay enough money to get those things. But you notice sometimes when you leave the store, you say, man, I forgot to get a dozen of eggs. I forgot to get a bag of flour. I forgot to get a container of milk. See, you went there, you purchased those items, but you came home lacking some of the things that you needed in your home. That's what's been happening to us in America. We've been purchasing, we've been going about trying to get those things in America, and we notice that we are lacking in certain things that is due us as a people. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad comes with the full package, nothing left out. Everything that you think you have, you don't have, but everything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad presented is in that package. It's in those groceries that we need. And he was here for 40 years. And every question, every idea that you came up with that tried to refute what he said, he already covered it. Now, there's a document that's out. I mentioned this in my part 1 lecture. It's called Project 2025. It's a series of information that white people, intellectuals, a group called the Heritage Foundation, along with some other white people, presented on what they feel that America has to be under from 2025 into the future. That's their ideas. That's what they want. It's a project and initiative so they can remain in control. It deals with controlling what you read. It's dealing with controlling and introducing what you think, your health care, your education, your cultural findings and your cultural behaviors. It's just a document in writing what they've been doing to us for the last 400 years. That's all it is. But what do you have? Because a lot of black people I listen to on radio and some of the callers and some of the talking heads and some of the commentaries, oh, what's going to happen to us in 2025? Brothers and sisters, the worst thing that you can do is be afraid. Fear is the enemy, not just for black people, but fear in its nature is the enemy of the human being. I remember when I was on my job, when I was working before I retired. Some of the brothers and sisters that were on the job with me, if there were things that were happening on the job that we felt that was diametrically opposed to our job description and what we're supposed to do, I would organize them, and they would get so afraid. They would start making all kind of excuses why they shouldn't do or fight for what was rightfully theirs. I don't know, Brother Stewart, I got to pay my rent, and I got a child in college. I don't know if we should do this now. Maybe we should wait. I said, wait for what? What are you afraid of? The worst thing they can do is kill you. But you have a right. You have to stand up. Fear. Not the white man himself. The fear of the white man is our enemy. Being afraid of him. What he's going to do to you. And some of you go to church on Sunday and said, Jesus is my Lord and my Savior. If I believe in him, nothing can touch me. Nothing can come against me. That's what we say. I put my trust in the Lord. We say that in church, many of our people on Sunday. It says, if God is for you, who could be against you? And then Monday morning, you're afraid to even go on your block and challenge people, and they're doing everything and anything in your community that they want to do, and you don't say nothing because you're afraid. You're a punk. You're a coward. Cowards and punks and people of fear never achieved anything. Didn't mean to be a little hard like that, because I get a little upset on how our people react when it comes to a certain thing, brothers and sisters. When it's important for us to stand up. That was one thing the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did for us when he taught us. He took fear out of us. Muslims don't have fear, brother. That's why we would walk, brother. I've seen men and women in the Nation of Islam when I came in, brother, they didn't fear nothing. They didn't believe that they could die. That's how bad we were. When we walked down the street, people respected us. Because we showed no fear, but we also showed extreme love for our people. Because we believe that if Allah is with us, that who could be against us? That we could always win. Now, let's get into what the Muslims want. We left off on point number 5. Point number 5 of the Muslims program on what the Muslims want says, we want freedom for all believers of Islam now held in federal prisons. See, when this was written, many of the Muslims were in federal prison. The reason why they were in federal prison is because they were conscientious objectors to the war that was happening in World War II, in Vietnam, and the brothers would go to prison. They would not fight in the war that was waged by America. In fact, one of the outstanding Muslims was Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali said, no, I'm not going to war. I'm not fighting no Vietnam. Vietnam had never called me a nigger. He said, if I can't get justice in America, why am I going 9,000 away to fight some people that I don't even know? Never done anything to me. Why, he got that from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad taught him that. So we got brothers and sisters that are still in federal prison. And they are believers in Islam. We want freedom for all black men and women now held under the death sentence in innumerable prisons in the North as well as in the South. Now, you might say, well, Brother Hop, some of our black men and women have killed people. They have done some very terrible things, and they deserve death. Reason why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that. Because if you compare, if you look at what white people have done to us in our 400-year sojourn in America, they have killed us, raped our women, castrated us, burnt us at the stake. There are untold instances. Untold. That means that you don't have information on it. But we know the things that they have done to us, that they have hidden from the rest of the world, that is in no comparison to what some of these brothers and sisters have done in their lives. They have made us like them. This is why the scripture said, you are not them, you were made like unto them. were not criminals the way they have criminalized us. And many of those brothers and sisters became victims of their own environment and circumstances. And now the white man puts us in jail. Many of us are under the death penalty unjustly. So Mr. Muhammad said, no, let them free. He said, give them to me. I will reform them. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he was in prison, because he refused to go to World War II, while he was in prison, he reformed more convicts that were in there than many of the people that were so-called supposed to reform them and correct their behavior. He did it. Many of his strong ministers and followers came out of prison and became some of the most productive men in society. The most outstanding one was Malcolm. So you praise Malcolm, but before Malcolm heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm was a criminal. He was a stick-up kid. He was a drug dealer. He hurt people. He sold white women to black men and black women to white men. Malcolm was a thief. Malcolm was a liar. But when he heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was reformed. He was one of the greatest examples of that. And some of you read the autobiography of Malcolm X. You know, originally, Alex Haley and his publishers wanted to do a documentary, biography, or autobiography of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. And Malcolm came to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and told him that they wanted to do an expose or a history of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told Malcolm, he said, no. He said, we don't have to do that, brother. He said, let them do that on you. He said, you are one of the greatest examples of my teachings, and it would be more fitting for you to do it because it would show millions of black people how the teachings can transform someone from a negative lifestyle to a positive. And Malcolm said, yes, sir, dear Holy Apostle. He said, but I will do that, but I will make sure that all the money that is received from this book will go to you in the Nation of Islam. That's how this happened. Some of you don't even know that. Or you didn't know it. That's how it happened. But anyway, Mr. Muhammad asked for black men and women under the death sentence to be free. He said, we want our black men and women to have the freedom to accept or reject being separated from the slave master's children to establish a land of our own. We need a land of our own. All people of the earth have lands of their own. If you're from Australia, you're Australian. If you're from China, you're Chinese. If you're from India, you're an Indian. If you are from Portugal, you're Portuguese. If you're from Italy, you're an Italian. Where's our land? We need to be separate so we can feel independence. Nothing wrong with that. Well, you say, well, America is our country. We were here. We helped build this country. That's true. That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in his Once a Belief, let us establish a state or territory here or elsewhere. Because he understood that we built this country and that America was obligated to give us the necessary tools to be independent. Mr. Muhammad, of course, added, we know that the above plan for the solution of the black and the white conflict is the best and only answer to the problem between the two people. W.E.B. Du Bois Some say W.E.B. Du Bois was an intellectual thinker, scientist of social reform and justice. He said the problem in America is the black or the race or the color problem. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the problem between black and white will never be solved unless the two people are separate. If we can't deal with each other, it's best to separate. He said, I have not only the only solution, but the best solution to the problem between both people. And America is always talking about us, saying that we are a burden on America. These niggas are nothing they have. They live wretched lives. Their communities are filled with garbage and crime. Then let Mr. Honorable Elijah Muhammad, with his teachings and his ministers and followers, will help reform our people. The teachings of Islam has a vibrant, life-giving, life-transformational element to it that change our lives and make us stand up and become moral, decent citizens. That is the religion of Islam. Number 6, we want immediate end to police brutality and mob attacks against the so-called Negroes throughout the United States. All of us, if you're honest, brothers and sisters, all of us have had some kind of encounter with the police, locking us up unjustly, beating us, killing us. Not to mention George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Sonia Massey, a few weeks ago, was killed in her home by a police officer who she called to help her. In my own life, I have experienced police brutality. Growing up, the police would just, me and my friends, we were like 13, 14 years old. We would just be walking down the street and they'd tell us, come here, get in the car. And we said, officer, what do we do? Don't say nothing, get in the car. And they would put us in the car. And I lived in an area where the Atlantic Ocean is at, in Coney Island. It's a huge ocean that I used to swim in as a child. And then we had a other part of, on the other side was a bay area. And at night they would take us there. And they had nightsticks. And they would take those sticks and hit us on the legs, on our backs. And then they would make us take off all of our clothes. And we would just have our underwear on. And they would make us walk home in the cold, naked. Yes, merciless. I remember this police officer named Iacone. That's a Italian name. He was the most vicious. All my friends had encounters with him where he would beat them, slap them, and make them do unjust things. And when I became a Muslim, I was selling the Muhammad Speaks on the corner of my community, one of the corners of my community. He had retired and I saw him going into a restaurant getting some coffee. When he came out, I stepped right in his face. I said, "You remember me?" He said, No. I said, are you sure you don't remember me? I said, "You used to beat us when we were children." Me? I had him shaking. I looked him dead in his eye. Or dead in his eyes. But he said, I have to go. See? Could have took him down if I wanted to. But Allah teaches us not to do those kind of things. That Allah is the best at knowers. Okay? Now, I'll tell you that little story. Police brutality. We believe that the federal government should intercede to see that black men and women tried in the courts receive justice in accord with the laws of the land and allow us to build a new nation for ourselves dedicated to justice, freedom, and liberty. See, you have a lot of laws on the books in the United States justice system, but they're not enforced when it comes to us. This is why you have civil rights lawyers. We always have to have a civil rights lawyer. We always have to hire these lawyers to fight for us. If they say that we are citizens and that we are Americans, how come you don't treat us like citizens? How come you don't treat us like those of other people that come here who are not citizens but get treated much better than us? We want justice in the courts. We want liberty and freedom. This is a black agenda, if you want to call it that. This is a program that should be put to Congress. Don't talk about, my brothers and sisters, that you're not receiving justice. What is your alternative? What else do you have? You have something else that you can present? And you say, oh, well, we're going to elect Kamala Harris and everything will be all right. Well, everything wasn't all right after Obama got in. And what are you going to do? What if she loses? Or what if she wins? Then we're going to have to wait another 4 years, because most politicians, once they get in, they have an adjustment period, whether it be a congressman, a senator, assembly, a council person. The first year that they get in, they have to get adjusted. They have to put things together. Then the second year, they have to start working towards making some of the things that they said they were going to do organized and put into practice so they can deal with those kind of things that's needed in the country or in the community. The third year, you know what they're doing? They're working on their campaign. That's where their minds and efforts at in the third year in the presidency. They're working on their campaign to win the next 4 years. Or the council person is working on their campaign because they only in 4 years, and the congressmen are only in 2 years. So the first year they're trying to get everything together. Then the second year they're working on the campaign. But you got to put their feet to the fire. This is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad put this once together, to let them know that we're serious. Now, number 7. As long as we are not allowed to establish a state or territory of our own, we demand not only equal justice under the laws of the United States, but equal employment opportunities, not tomorrow, not next year, but now. And Honorable Elijah Muhammad put that in bold letters, N-O-W capitalized. Then he goes on to say, he justifies that, and he puts emphasis when he says, we do not believe that after 400 years of free or nearly free labor, because we worked 310 years and didn't get paid, brothers and sisters. Did you know that? America became rich and powerful off of the backs of our enslaved brothers and sisters, who we are the descendants of. We didn't get paid a dime. All they gave us was a pair of raggedy clothes or maybe some fat back and a shack to live in. He said, our sweat and blood which has helped America become rich and powerful, that so many thousands of black people have to subsist on relief, charity, or live in poor homes. There's no reason. Let me say this here, brothers and sisters. I live in a very diverse community. There's Asians here. There's Italians. There's Ukrainians. There's Russians. There's Jewish people. And many of those people came from their countries. And they came here. But they received many of the good things that this country offers. They get it. But we don't. We don't. And they look at us like we don't even deserve it. You know, in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921, they bombed that city, that area called Greenwood. I was in Oklahoma not too long ago, a few weeks back in July. They bombed that community. And hundreds of black people were killed, houses burnt to the ground, stores, because they had all kind of businesses. And recently they went to court. And the Supreme Court in that jurisdiction voted that those survivors of that massacre should not receive anything. How could you do that to a people who have given, and there were black men in that town, in that city, that fought in World War I. Some of them fought in not the Civil, maybe some of them in the Civil War. Yes. And they just said, you just not kidding me. We shouldn't live under these conditions. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad always taught us that you have to do something for yourself and don't look for the white man to carry you forever. Even though we deserve, but you don't wait. Even though he's presenting this program, he didn't wait. He had organized the Nation of Islam members. We began to build all kind of institutions and enterprises in our communities. This is true. We talk about Black Wall Street under the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We had a Black Wall Street in every city. I came in the Nation of Islam under New York City. For the first 5 years of my coming into the nation, I never had to work for white people. Because all the believers, many of them had business of their own. And I was able to work for them. Shabazz Restaurant, Shabazz Clothing Store, Shabazz Radio and TV repair store, Brothers Painting Service, Shabazz Collision Company. Yes. Yeah. Pyramid Bakery. I worked in all of those places. Shabazz Fish House. Yes. I didn't have to work for the white man. We had a Black Wall Street right in New York City. Our money stayed in the circle. Brothers and sisters would come from Connecticut, would come from Jersey, would come from Delaware to shop in some of the stores that we had in New York City. We had steak and takes all over the city. Some of y'all still looking for those steak and takes. There's one in New York City, there's still one here. So if you want a steak and take, you can come here, they're here. But he knew that we had to do something for ourselves, even though we asked the government of the United States to give us what we needed. He said, we do not believe, after 400 years of nearly free labor, sweat and blood, that we will be treated like this here. even though we have given our very lives to this country. Number 8, point number 8 of what the Muslims want. We want the government of the United States to exempt our people from all taxation as long as we are deprived of equal justice under the laws of this land. We shouldn't have to pay tax, brothers and sisters. What we have given to this country, we should be tax exempt. Now, why do you say that? Because taxation without representation is tyranny. It's unjust. I'm going to show you how white people in America understood that. In 1873 in Boston, in America, in Boston, white citizens of Boston believed that they were being taxed unjustly. So what they did was, there was what was called the Indian Tea Company. And they would bring tea into the harbor of Boston. So those citizens, those white people who believe that they are being taxed unjustly, they would say taxation without representation is tyranny. And what they did, there were 342 chests or bushels of tea. And what they did, they dumped them into the harbor of Boston, or the Boston Harbor. They took action. But we don't have to do that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we deserve not to have to pay taxes. But he did not encourage his followers to refrain from paying taxes, because they would lock us up. And we would have to go to court. And then we would have to pay lawyers. Then we would have to go through the whole system. But he told and demanded and petitioned the United States government, said black people in America, for what we have given to this country, we should be tax exempt. Some of our brothers jumped the gun. You can't do that, brother. You got to be intelligent. You got to be wise. Some of them stopped paying taxes and you locked you up. I'm not saying that you should not take a stand, but you got to be wise. Okay? You got to be intelligent. You have to understand. You have to have a plan. And you have to have an alternative plan. And when you have the alternative plan, you have to have another plan to offset that alternative plan. That's intelligent. Don't jump the gun. Yeah, we shouldn't pay taxes. We agree to that. But there's a way to do it. Now, as I reach my conclusion, brothers and sisters, of all what we have experienced in America, and there's no one, unless you don't know the history of black people in America, could deny that we have not been treated like we should be treated like as human beings. We have never, in a concerted, organized effort, tried to overthrow this government in any way. We have never attempted a revolution in this country. We only represent about 12 to 13% of the population in America. Well, we have never attempted that. We have had riots during the when Martin Luther King was assassinated. There was riots, and in different cities, we burnt up things, we looted, we were expressing our anger, but never in a kind of organized way. But look what white people did on January 6, 2021. They stormed the Capitol of the United States. Thousands of white people, not only with their bodies, they had guns. They had bulletproof vests. They had all kinds of stuff. They went into the White House. Them congressmen and senators was running for their lives. They were terrible. They didn't even shoot any of them. I think one or two of them got hurt. But they stormed the Capitol. And our sister, who was the mayor of Washington, D.C., told them on a loudspeaker, "We are ordering you to move." Them white people didn't go nowhere. They wasn't even listening to her. They didn't even care what she was saying. Do you know if we would have done that, bodies would have been all over the Capitol steps. They would have slaughtered us. This is true. Now, point number 9. Very important point. This is the program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Just to reintroduce you again, to remind you. We want equal education, but separate schools up to 16 for boys and 18 for girls, on the condition that the girls be sent to women colleges and universities. We want all black children educated, taught, and trained by their own teachers. That's the only way we're going to be free. Do you know this, brothers and sisters? In the colleges and universities where our men and women go, even though they go there, some of them are black HBCUs, but when they come out and they have a desire to help their people, they are short-circuited. They are sidetracked by the fact they can't find a job in the area that they were educated, or they no longer have the desire as time goes on to help our people. They are merely just surviving. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad understood when he was commissioned by God in person, one of the first things he did was take his children out of the white man's school. You cannot understand and you cannot say that the white man is the devil, he's against us, and take your little babies and put them into the school. What do you think they're going to teach them? We are losing more of our young men and women to the educational systems in America than ever before. Especially our young girls. We have to have our own teachers teaching them to give them an education that's going to be vital, an education that's going to allow them to understand their nature and the science in which we created, and give them an education that's going to make them independent and not just to go get a job. Well, they brought us here for a job. We said, well, we gave y'all jobs. Well, that's what you brought us here for, to work on a job. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we just don't want the milk. We want the cow that produced the milk. We want the land that produced the crops that we go buy food from the supermarkets. We just don't want to go buy the food in the supermarkets. We want the land that produced the food that's in the supermarkets. That's independence. We want black children educated and taught and trained by our own teachers. Sometime I walk, the school in my neighborhood that I'm adopted the school. Some of my children at one point went to the school. Some of my nieces and nephews. I got some great-grandchildren that go to some of the schools. And when I go in there, I walk in there, I notice that the little children, because they're always saying white teachers and particularly white women, when I walk in, all the little children are looking at me. And they say, who is he? Okay? Because they identify with me. Okay? So it's important that we teach, and train our own. White people do it all the time. You know, some of you eat Domino's pizza, or you eat Domino's hot wings. You know, the owner of Domino's is a white Christian evangelist and a white Christian reformist. He has his own schools. He has his own community. He has his own housing complex. They are separate. They have television, but them children there, they don't even watch the stuff that's being displayed on the TV that our children are exposed to. This is the owner of Domino's Pizza. He's a filthy rich. He has his own community. They have their own churches there. Yes, this is true. Check it out. I think he owns one of the football teams. I forgot what team, but he owns one of the football teams. Yes, NFL. So we can do that. Now, last point. Point number 10. Very important point. We believe that intermarriage or race mixings should be prohibited. We want the religion of Islam taught without hindrance or suppression. We believe that intermarriage or race mixing is prohibited. Now, you might say, well, what if I fall in love? Why are you teaching that, Mr. Muhammad? What if I fall in love with someone outside the race and I love her? You can't challenge someone that begins to love each other. That's understandable, brothers and sisters. But we were brought here in America under the worst conditions of any people who have ever faced suppression and slavery. And we were here with our mothers, our fathers, our women, our children. We are a people that need to survive. When you mix your race, when you intermarry with other people, you dilute your very existence. And this is not racist, this is cultural, because they took everything from us. Our belief in God, our belief in our culture. They took our language from us. They took our mores and folkways and all of our things that made us a people and reduced us almost to nothing. In order for us to survive, we need to remain and be with our people. So our blood and everything that make us a people can remain intact. We're not against other people. Very few of the other groups, they don't integrate. They love their people. They love their culture. It should, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, it should be prohibited. He was trying to preserve and reserve our culture and our people. You know? We have to understand that. Why would your black woman who has struggled with you, stood with you day and night under all kind of conditions, why do you want to go outside and get somebody else? Same with the black woman. The black man has been under such condition and changes and torment, and the white man has took his manhood from him. Why do you want to go get somebody outside your race, and then when you get on television, or some of you athletes that come up, I love my mother, I thank my mother, then we see you with someone other than your mother. Yes. We are a people, and we have to remain loyal and connected with that God has given us. Now, all of this, we can go into that subject at another time in terms of race mixing and integration, because we have to understand it from its fundamental aspect. So you don't think we're saying that, you cannot love someone else. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we want the religion of Islam taught without hindrance. This man had to run for his life from 1934 to maybe 1941 for his life, because he was moving around the East Coast in America teaching the religion of Islam. They were seeking to take his life because he wanted Islam, which God had given him for the resurrection and the salvation of the black man and woman. He had to run for his life. That's to teach the truth. He paid the price to teach the truth. And you're afraid to even stand up and admit that Islam is the best and only way for us, brothers and sisters. Islam is our salvation. And he said that we want to be free. Many of the brothers that were in prison, they weren't allowed to teach Islam. They would sneak and put pork in their food. Yes, this is true. They wouldn't allow them to have the Holy Quran or any of the lessons that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had given them. Some of the brothers were fired from their jobs, lost their families, because they wanted to teach the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the religion of Islam. What Islam does for us, brothers and sisters, it dignifies us. And it's not a religion, it's a way of life. It's the nature in which we were created. It dignifies us. Make us respectful. Make us respect the community that we live in. Make us respect our men and women. Make us love and cherish our children and our families. Islam ends the spook civilization, where we believe that God is in the sky somewhere and that we won't see him until after we die. That's a spook religion. That's a religion that will keep you deaf, dumb, and blind. We don't believe that God is up in the sky. We don't believe that heaven is somewhere up in the sky. We believe we can get all of that right here, right now, if we embrace the teachings of Islam. Islam makes us respect ourselves. And when you respect yourself, others respect you, brothers and sisters. And Islam makes us do for self. Make us stop being lazy. It makes us stop depending on others to do for us that we can do for ourselves. Islam makes us self-sufficient, makes us clean and want to live a clean life. Islam makes us understand that eating the right food will make us healthy and live a long life. That's what Islam does. And whenever you see a Muslim, you see a man and a woman that's striving to be like God. And this program that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad introduced that said that should be put to Congress came from the mind of God, because he sat with him for 3.5 years. And this is why, as a people, we need a divine solution. We just don't need a solution, we need a divine solution that comes from God himself. And this is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has offered to us. You can accept it or reject it. And with that, brothers and sisters, I close as I opened in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, in the name of his divine servant, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet you again. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I hope I was able to give you something to think about, something to study, something to ponder over, something that's thought-provoking. But I didn't want to say anything that would disrespect you, to hurt you, or make you feel uncomfortable, but to awaken you and give you the light of understanding so you can better serve yourself and your family and your community. And with that, brothers and sisters, You're going to get some information about how you can learn more about what we teach, what we believe, what we want. But I encourage you, when you get that information, we ask that you can help us. Donate with your money. You know, we spend a lot of money in America. Help us with whatever you can help us with, whether it's $1, $2, $100, whatever that may be, so we can continue to do what we're doing. We need the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had a national treasury, and he was able to do many, many things in terms of enterprises and businesses, just with the nickels and dimes that his followers gave him and donated. We donate. We believe in charity. So we encourage you. We emphasize that because we know that's necessary. And with that, brothers and sisters, again, I thank you. And may Allah continue to bless you with the light of understanding. And let us continue to fight for freedom, justice, and equality under the banner of Islam. And you will be successful. Assalamu alaikum.
If you believe what you heard taught today on Islam is true, and you would like to learn more or you are ready to accept and reclaim your own, contact the Lost Found Nation of Islam Muhammad's Temple United at 833-394-1722. Again, that's 833-394-1722. We thank you for joining us today, and we ask that you return next Sunday and invite your family and friends. We ask your support so that we may continue to get the truth out to our people. You may contribute by donating to our Cash App at $MT United. That's $MT United.
The Lost and Found Nation of Islam, Muhammad's Temple United, is seeking to unite with all of the believers in temples across the country. If you are a member or a part of a temple, or if you have a temple, contact us and let us unite one nation under one way of life, Islam as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Don't see your city or state? Let's change that. Let's unite and put your temple on the map of unity. Let us not come together in unity in belief only, but let us come together and unify as one in practice. The time is now, black man and woman. Your nation awaits you. Assalamu alaikum.